Good morning, everybody. It's Jillian with Jilly Juice, jillyjuice.com. What a great morning. I slept really well. I was up for a lot of hours yesterday. Like, I was living off adrenaline yesterday. And when your mind is going, it's like adrenaline kicks in. Okay. And that's why doing drugs, as far as just on the Jilly Juice, or when you're done with Jilly Juice, you won't have any need for drugs because your body will kick in the necessary hormones that needs to be present at the time based upon what it is that you're doing. Now, I'm not going out climbing huge mountains to where I need to trigger my adrenaline. I am thinking. And when you think, you utilize a lot of different hormones, and adrenaline is one of them because you have to bring up a lot of, resources to energize your brain so you can start solving problems and solving problems, solving issues, solving controversies. That's the whole point of J Juice, is to solve your own problems, utilizing your own resources, bringing in the necessary resources so you can keep regenerating and energizing. So yesterday I did a major social experiment, and it was pretty interesting. And even Facebook recognized that I was a little bit out of my element because they were just like, what the hell's going on? You are way out of your character. And so they were letting me know, okay, you're a little going over the top. Get out of these groups that are obviously you're pissing everybody off. I'm like, okay, all right. But yesterday I needed to understand something about the whole politics, because war is trauma. You're absolutely right. Everyone's freaking going nuts. You are seeing people just having a hard time with decisions on both ends. Our allies, our own people at home. I'm calling everybody Benedict Arnold that doesn't support our president. But I needed to, because I needed to glean out exactly what I was feeling around the different administrations, because these different administrations are a representation of you. You have to understand that every single president or every single prime minister or every single leader in all countries are a representation of the population. Okay? And so I needed to get confirmation that that is so. But I also want to bring it back to the Jilly Juice and where that is appropriate. So yesterday I was going into all of these Occupy groups that are totally just slamming my president. And I'm talking to people from like overseas who live in the Middle East, and they're just trying to convince me that my government and my country is horrible and all of this stuff. And believe me, I'm not going to buy it. But I wanted to see if I just get my thought process, okay? I bring it down to the Constitution. I brought it down to the Bill of Rights. I brought it down to no matter what, I don't care what side of the hormonal spectrum you fall on as far as Democrat, Republican, and even pretending to not be either by being an independent. I don't care which side of the spectrum. You back up your country because it's the only country you have. It's the only one. And that's like the human body, you don't attack yourself. And that's what we see right now with people out there taking prescription drugs and doing all these different detoxes and cryotherapies and hydrotherapy, all these different therapies. People are attacking their own body, causing more degradation, causing more of a destruction, and then there's no more. Your body is gone. Your body is what makes up your country. When you're gone, your country's gone. And then you have people then are teaching their kids to rise up against their own government, and then you lose the very notion of what America is. America isn't about always attacking your own body. That's not America. People are under the impression that America is like that America is about attacking their body, attacking their president. Oh, because this hormone is present at the time, so I'm going to attack it. No, it's about balance. It's about allowing both sides, both hormones, to come up when it needs to. But we're seeing such a disparity in the hormones because our population is so imbalanced. You're either so loving oxytocin, which is like an Obama, or you're so adrenalized, so full of war hitting the war drums, hitting the war drums. There you want to bomb everything. What? But then you have people out there. Now you have to not even think about people here, but now you have to think about the people out there that are very imbalanced, that don't like our way of life. And now you have to worry about them. But people are under the impression that we're going to attacking their resources, all for oil and all that other stuff. And here's the thing, America depends upon oil. Yes, it's a reality. You can't get away from it. So just give up trying to think that we're not going to use oil, because oil is in everything. Oil is used for everything. Gasoline for powering your city, for powering your cars, for powering everything. Just look up what the oil industry and what the oil refineries do, and what it actually feeds and what it actually supports. It supports your infrastructure. That's why there's such a huge thing about this oil, and why the Middle East is trying to control it in some ways. And we're going into, okay, believe me, America doesn't want to go, and they leave alone countries that don't have those resources, because there's no, they'll figure out some way to figure out their stuff. But when there's a very, very needed resource that we need to keep our way of life going, you bet your ass we're going to go and fight for those resources. Okay. And so I'm going into these groups and I'm like, you need to back your president. You're teaching your kids that you're doing this, or you're teaching your kids to go up against your own body and destroy it and undermine the very thing that feeds them and clothes them and teaches them and gives them an opportunity. And I'm telling you, the people were just flipping out. But I needed to sit with everybody attacking me and really see where they're coming from. And then I did use the word Benedict Arnold, because you have to kind of put it in perspective. When you attack your own body with the wrong elements, like elderberry syrup and pills, powders and supplements and detoxes and what else? Bentonite clay and diatomaceous earth and turmeric and honey and all these different opioids and cannabis, you're like basically a Benedict Arnold to your own body. And so I had to make that distinction on a more of a political level. Okay? Because when you look at it, I have all these religious types that are on my Facebook too, that are saying, no, it's not a political battle, it's a spiritual battle. Do you know what spiritual is? It's hormones. Spirits are hormones. When you're drinking alcohol, guess what comes up? Hormones. And then people's hormones that are most present comes to surface. Either they're so loving or they want to go and kick everybody's ass. You know those types. Those ones that can't drink alcohol, or the ones that can drink alcohol and they're so, and I believe me, I've seen the extremes. Some people that are very, very, have a lot of oxytocin, they're great, okay, when they're drunk. They're so happy, they're so loving, they love everybody, and da-da-da, and you've seen those. And you see ones that are so mean. When they drink alcohol, the adrenaline comes up and they want to fight you, and then all the issues that ever trigger them comes to surface, and it's like a deluge. And you want to keep them off the alcohol because they have too much of that adrenaline. Okay, so that's what spiritual warfare is the imbalances in your hormones, and it translates into your politics. And then you're seeing that disparity in the American population, in the UK population, Australia, New Zealand, all the different, I don't know Middle Eastern politics too much because I don't study it, but they have their own split over there too. Okay, and I'm sure someone that is from the Middle East can probably shed some light if they want to. So that's what political and spiritual warfare is the imbalances of the people, and then people commit a Benedict Arnold on themselves. But here's the thing, in America, do you know how we deal with cancer, disease, and chronic illness? We throw chemotherapy, radiation. And so, yeah, you can bring it back to World War II and Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Radiation, chemotherapy, it stopped the war. And that's kind of what goes on in our medical system. We throw chemotherapy at cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and sometimes it stops the war and sometimes it doesn't, but you don't use it. See, here's the thing, we only used it like that one time back then. Will we use it again? You know what, at some point I'm thinking that if things get so imbalanced out there and someone is compromising our way of life by threatening our resources, I don't put it past any president to repeat history. Because it's the same thing with the human body. Every single time you handle your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, with pills, powder supplements, and drugs, and chemotherapy and radiation, all that stuff, you will destroy the body. So, we don't want America to destroy itself, but people are destroying themselves on an individual level. And then, yes, we have people out there who are also destroying themselves on an individual level, threatening to do the same thing that we did to other people. And so, yeah, it stands to reason why everyone's freaking scared. But we wouldn't have this if we didn't have imbalances in the population. We wouldn't, if we learned how to spread balance and stop using medical intervention to do very superficial temporary things, we wouldn't have such an imbalance in the population. But you're seeing people procreate on bodies that are that weak. There's going to be a very imbalanced, distinct difference in the children. And then instead of having a relatively balanced president that's going to back the Constitution, you're going to have a president that's going to be way extreme on either end. And then you got to bring in other balancing forces. And that's what you're seeing right now. I mean, what's interesting is watching the politics. It's like watching the population deal with their cancer, disease, and chronic illness. It really is. Because, I mean, before it was like every 8 years, okay, no big deal. You had the Obama, you had the Clinton, you had the Bush, okay, and yeah, there was uprisings, but it's not as bad as it's now, where they're having this whole impeachment. Yeah, they had a thing with Clinton and the whole stupid thing with Monica Lewinsky, but that didn't go too far. And then you had the, Obama, he bombed a few places. No one really raised an eyebrow. Everyone was like, okay, whatever. But the conspiracy world was taking up steam. Alex Jones was laying the groundwork. And believe me, I was part of that whole crowd. And now I'm so annoyed with it, okay? But now you're seeing a major, like, extreme when you have Pelosi, who is supposedly so oxytocin love, and she's all representing San Francisco, so it makes sense. But she's very imbalanced too. And then she's going in and trying to, be all, posturing and threatening, Trump. And so she's kind of turning into the very thing that she hates the most. And that's what happens, is when you hate someone or something so much to such a level and you express it, you're actually absorbing the energy, and then you're turning into the very thing you hate. And then essentially you're also supporting it. Because eventually what it comes down to is law. The law is going to dictate whether or not Pelosi or Trump is right or wrong. That's what it comes down to. So man-made law will trump, excuse the pun, but man-made law will trump Mother Nature for a very short amount of time. But Mother Nature, natural law, will always trump man-made law. But you have to know how to work with the two. And so that's why I said and Facebook was thinking I was somebody else. So they're like, what the hell is going on? So they took down a few of my posts, but then I went to my business page and just shared it. But yeah, I said I am both Democrat and Republican, because they both are a representation. They both are a representation of me. And it just depends upon which one is present. And no matter what, I'm going to back me up until me brings in the right balancing forces to then calm down the hormones. Okay, and we're not there yet. At some point, there's going to be a tipping point. When it's going to happen, who is it going to be, and why, and all that stuff, we don't know. Because now it's on a collective level. It's not the individual level. But at least individually, you all can work on your own imbalances. But remember, Jilly Juice is still getting a lot of bad press. People still think I'm killing everybody. So you all have to be that representation of balance. And if you're still staying stuck in all of these activists and things, then you're definitely part of the problem. You're not exactly exuding balance. You're not showing people that, you and I are alike. Democrat and Republican are alike. You back your president no matter what, until due process comes in and says he's unfit. If we have resources in another country that keeps your status quo going, you back up whoever it is that's in charge. Get off the whole thing with the banksters and the war for oil, because you wouldn't have your way of life without these resources. Okay, then you'll go, they're suppressing, you know, all these other ways to get energy. And I'm sorry, but if, you know, things are about money, yes, but no matter what, you have 300 million people here in America. And if you're not American, you have however many people in your population that is benefiting from all the resources out there. You take care of you and yours. You take care of the people that are keeping you safe in your own country. Do you know how many terror attacks or how many things our government has actually intercepted? If they told you every single one that they've intercepted, you guys would be afraid to go outside. That's what I heard somewhere. That if the American population knew how many things were intercepted by the FBI, the CIA, the DEA, and all that, you guys would be afraid to go outside, to go to any public event, if you knew how many terror attacks our government has intercepted or potential. Okay? So your government does not owe you, the NSA does not owe you any explanation on why they do the things they do. You have to have some kind of trust in the country that you live in. And that's what I was trying to convey yesterday, is that you can walk to your freaking mailbox. You can go online and buy something without somebody stealing all the money in your bank account, for the most part, as long as you have certain measures in place. You can go to the grocery store without worrying about somebody going in and stealing your cart as soon as you walk outside, because we have law and order in our own society. Now, with all of these tensions, now you have to be more vigilant, because, yeah, we are at some kind of, you know, superficial war. You have to now pay attention. And believe me, I don't go to large crowds. I don't really need to. I've beyond the point of going to concerts. Those things really I don't really go to football games. I don't take part in all of those things. I'm a cerebral person. I like studying humanity. I like studying and solving problems, creating solutions, taking care of my dog, okay, and paying attention to her needs and make sure my husband's doing okay and all that. I mean, that's where my priorities lay within. It's not out there trying to take part in all of this stuff. You know, where my strengths are is to give you guys enough information to make the necessary changes to better our society and give a future for your children. A real future, not a future where it's so like extreme, where they are so like genius in one area, but completely just like very imbalanced in another area. I'm trying to get both the left and right brain working together. But you're going to see now in the future, with all the different administrations, they are a product of their environment. And if we don't change the environment right now within your own family, we are going to be producing very extreme people as a representation of the Constitution, which means that we may get someone that's very good at posturing and saying how they're so this and they'll do this and do that. And they go in and they start doing some crazy stuff, which you guys people think that Trump is doing that, but we still have due process. And even though, you know, some people say, oh, you got us into a war that we can't get out of and all this other stuff, you don't know if it's meant to happen. You don't know. You still work with your body. And sometimes the battle with your body is going to be a few years. The battle with getting America balanced so we don't have to go to war for resources. So the point of getting the world balanced so we don't have to react to things that are out there that are threatening our interests. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen, you know, right off the bat. I mean, there's 100 years war back in, you know, back then, Britain and France and all that, 100 years war. Okay? And yeah, there was countries that were laid to waste. Bubonic plague came in, the weaknesses. I mean, yeah, you're seeing kind of history repeat itself, but it's gonna, because we still have people that are at war with themselves. And when you're at war with yourself, you're going to project the war out there. And that's what you're seeing, is a projection of humanity. 7 billion people at war with themselves, and they project it in the politics, in the countries, in all administrations. And until you can produce children and yourself, not even just children, If you can get yourself well balanced, you will put well balanced people in office to then think things in a different way. And right now, at this point, there is nobody right now in our society that is more fit than what we have, because we have more of the same. Trump is no different than somebody that's not on the J juice. Do you realize that Trump is not any better or any worse than anybody else in the population? Now we get a J juicer, someone that's doing J juice and already has the connections out there in the different administration. They could talk some sense. And also out there, you know, in other countries, Middle East, you know, Asia, India, the Philippines, which is Asia. And that's why Julie Juice is all over the world, because we got to plant these seeds of balance, because we need to. And if not, it's going to be more, we're going to be at war even more. And people are talking about the end times and how, yeah, the end times, because there are generations that are dying off and they are flopping around on their on their way out. We have people that are doing J juice that haven't reached that point of like calmness where they release their anxiety. So they're freaking out all over Facebook against Trump. They're taking up their activist stance. Oh gosh, fight the power. That's more of the same. You know, the whole point of J juice is take yourself out of the war. So yesterday, yeah, I had to really go in and just kind of rock the boat a little bit. Oh yeah, I rocked the boat yesterday. I rocked the boat. Maybe you might see some of my stuff. Occupy Frederick. What else? Common Dreams. I went on to that site or that page. They were tripping out on me. But then I got the information out too. As much as they were attacking the hell out of me, I got the information out. Absolutely plant kale and cabbage. Absolutely. You know, I mean, I was something else on Guardian or something, the Guardian, and they were like, oh my God, Boris is this and Boris is backing this and I'm just like, thank you, Boris. Thank you, thank you. So it'll be very interesting to see how all this is going to iron out. And no matter what, I'm ready for anything, no matter what. You know, if I can, like right now, I have people on my Facebook that are just like, oh my God, stop sending our children overseas and this and send them to Australia instead and all that stuff. Yeah, John, lots of Benedict Arnolds. But, you know, no matter what, if we're not sending our kids over to go, Michael, if we're not sending our kids over to go and protect our interests, then those will come here and do the same thing. I mean, it's like no matter what, you're not going to win when you have to protect interests and those that want to, and that's just those that want to take you over or whatever, or stop you from getting what you want. And that's the same thing out there. You know, when you're doing the Jilly Juice or you're in the mainstream and you're dealing with viruses. Now, I'm not saying that the people that we're at war with are viruses. Nobody is the enemy. Nobody is bad. There is nothing poisonous in this world. We just have so many people in this world in a state of imbalance, in a state of decomposition, and they are acting from their fears. There's fears over there that we are, you know, dealing with, and there are fears here that we're dealing with. Okay? And when you put those two fears together, it's an explosive reaction. And then you have people acting on those perceptions. And that's why Facebook does go in and censor some of you, because they don't want these kind of explosive reactions that could actually manifest physically. And I completely understand. Okay? So it's like, you know, when your body is fighting to stay alive and there's so many weaknesses, and viruses, no matter what, are going to get in. Viruses, you can't get away from viruses. And viruses aren't bad. Remember, viruses is just data. All the people that we're at war against are just data. But we're so weak as a country that that data is capitalizing on the weaknesses, and then you're seeing symptoms, inflammation. Now we're sending out antibodies called the soldiers. Okay? You stop indiscriminate reproduction, you stop aging and dying, you're not going to have the wars that we're seeing right now. But we have 7 billion people at war with their body, and some a little more extreme than others. And then you're seeing this manifest in tensions, to put it mildly. Okay? So everything is connected. Everything is connected. And so, yeah, I had to really go there as far as Benedict Arnold, as far as really sticking it to those. And it just so happens that Trump's in office. Now, if Obama was in office right now, I'd be saying the same thing. It just so happens that Obama was in office by the time when I was in the conspiracy world. So I was already against everything back when Obama was in office. But in the beginning, I liked him. And then I started listening to Alex Jones and saw that Alex Jones movie. This is what triggered me into the conspiracy world, was the Obama deception from Alex Jones, talking about the Illuminati and the banksters and the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and oh my God, and the Israel and all that stuff. And the train left the station, I was gone. And then I got into the chemtrails, and I got into the ascension stuff, people, the Nibiru and the reptilian, and oh my gosh, the people that I have been interacting with gave me so much information now that I can actually go back and use. And hindsight is 2020. Okay? And then, so yeah, so there was no way I was going to back Obama back then, because I was worried about the NDAA, the NDAA, and then them, federalizing everything. And yeah, every single administration, there is no difference between the two except for the hormonal differences, the adrenaline versus oxytocin, foreign policy versus social programs, where you're going to put your money. Where are you going to put your money? And then, but is there a way to take the money and balance it all out to where you still have a good foreign policy and a good military, and you're taking care of people at home? I don't think there has to be either or, but that's kind of how it's turned out, that Democrat and Republican are like so condensed in social programs, and forget foreign policy. Everyone's our friend, but not really. Everybody's our friend, because I mean, look at me. I'm dealing with people who are not everybody's my friend. I had to block people off my business page. They're just imbalanced, but I'm not going to go and work through their imbalances, and they have no intention of at all understanding me. So so you can't ignore what's out there and just take care of your people. You have to know how to balance out foreign policy and global resources, your interests, as well as take care of your people here. And that is difficult when you already have it, when you have an imbalance in your adrenaline, you're so adrenalized like Trump is. Yeah, he's going to take on the Republican characteristics. Y'all have to fend for yourself. If you can't, oh well, ass out. And that's kind of like, in a way like Jilly Juice. If you can't take care of yourself, oh well, ass out. So I do take on a lot of Republican characteristics with J Juice, but I can't get people I don't have enough resources in me to baby everybody through this, because I got to have a life. I got to have a life. I have things that I have to take care of. I don't want to get caught up and sucked into somebody else's bullshit. So in a lot of ways, it's up to people to bootstrap mentality. But I was raised in that world. You either do it or you don't. You either pull yourself up or you let yourself go. Okay? And so that's kind of a Republican characteristic. But then Mother Nature meant for many people to die, but man came in and gave you a stay of execution. And that's through the vaccines, through the procedures, the immunotherapies, through the pills, powder supplements, and detoxes. Okay? So now you have a stay of execution, but these people that are so weak and they got a stay of execution don't have the resources to really sustain it. So in a lot of ways, they're suffering, and you're seeing that. You have friends that are in the hospitals that were never trained to really regenerate their own resources. They were given life, but they don't know what to do with their life. And so now the J Juice is changing that whole thing. You do the J Juice, you'll know what to do with your life. You'll know how to save it. But we have too many people that were given a life that don't know what to do with it. They'll follow a certain kind of plan. Oh, you go to college, you go to school, you go to college, you listen to your parents, you go to ball games, you do this, and then you give like 10, 15, 20 years to so many different companies or one company, and then maybe you retire, and maybe you might get your Social Security if you don't die before that, and then you die. And that is the programming for a lot of people out there. But some people were given this life, and they can only meet it to a certain point, and then that's when cancer comes in. Because you were meant to die a long time ago, but man came in and gave you a chance to go and turn it around. And some of you are not turning your life around. Some of you are going to be recycled back into the universe. But at least Jilly Juice will give you a chance to turn everything around at a deeper root level. So yeah, that's the whole point of change. Okay. So, it's completely up to all of you. And you're going to see more of the same out there until we get everybody understanding J Juice and manifesting balance. And you're not going to save everybody. You might have to let some of your loved ones go because it's too late for them. And it sucks. I've come to terms with it. I think I came to terms with it with one of my classmates, my age, actually probably a year younger than me, passed away from pancreatic cancer. And then I'm watching all the people that contributed to his thing, and they're on their way out too. They're all very imbalanced. You can see it as far as physically, and it's coming for them. But they already been exposed to me and through all the different mediums that are out to get me, whatever. But they won't listen to the information I have, because everyone's so used to applying the wrong chemistry to their body. They're so used to anesthetizing the pain. And when you anesthetize the pain, you never heal. And then when you apply therapies like cryotherapy and hydrotherapy, which may give you a stay of execution, but some of you don't have enough resource. Some of you have very little resources to be able to handle those therapies. And then you are accelerating the death trajectory. So yeah, there are people out there that are doing all these trendy stuff like the cryotherapy or jumping into cold water. And they feel so energized, all these antibodies. But then when you have malabsorption, you have leaky gut, and you have stagnation in 11 different systems, and you're taking on antibodies because of these extreme temperature exposures, you're aging. You're accelerating the aging process. When you're giving your kids elderberry syrup, you're aging your kids. I mean, that's why the Jilly Juice temperature is between 65 and 72 degrees. The fermentation is based upon the optimal temperature for life, where life can thrive. Lactobacillus releases lactic acid, which breaks down the food, breaks down the nutrients in that controlled environment called Jilly Juice. And you're drinking pure vitamins. You're drinking a food that's been broken down by little organisms that are able to thrive in 65 and 72 degrees. Anything way above that, anything way below that, you will cause antibody acquisition. And yeah, it's a pleasurable effect because now your hormones, you have the anesthetizing effect of both ends. And then you have hormones coming to surface. And when you have so many hormones coming to surface, for such a long time, like those that are in the military or in those first responder jobs, it ages you. And that's why I'm glad. Well, I mean, my husband's in the trucking industry, and that's when you're driving a truck, you're a constant adrenaline. But my husband is an adrenaline junkie. Okay? He loves driving a truck. He loves doing things that make his mind go and likes to do fast things. Thankfully, he's not a motorcycle. Thankfully, he doesn't have all those things that really would cause, but he's done it. He's been on razors and motorcycles and all that. But luckily, his only adrenaline resources, his job, I guess, making him money. But that's the thing is, you know, people are relying on their hormones coming to surface. And then they use it to anesthetize themselves as well. So that's what all the therapy is taking your hormones and manipulating your body, bring to surface. Acupuncture is the same thing. Every single therapy is the same thing. Exercise, okay? And yeah, exercise and extreme sports and all of that. So anyway, let me see, was there anything else on here? So, but yeah, so just expect that the next 8 years, yeah, we're gonna be going to war. And you know what? Get prepared. Don't be afraid, just be vigilant. There's 300 million people, and then you are gonna, you know, when you see something, say something. I mean, that's all there you can do. Luckily, we are a very chill society. I mean, chill. Luckily, we have technology where we don't have to go out to these crazy stores and mix in with so many people. Luckily, I don't have any desire to go to ball games or anything like that, or concerts. I really don't like the sound in concerts. It's too loud. I get bored at ball games. How much garlic fries can you eat, really? I mean, that's what I see ball games are. Every time I go to a ball game, it's like garlic fries, because that's what you do when you go to a ball game. You eat the garlic fries and you root for whatever team you're going for, and that's okay. So I just sit and watch Netflix. I read everything on the internet, take care of my dog. I cook and experiment with food. I made frittata, egg frittatas for my husband. Okay. I mean, which he sort of likes, but not really, because it's very mild. It's like breakfast. It's all egg and stuff in it and the crust. So, I mean, I'm very laid back. I don't have to be on the wheel of whatever. And life may change down the road. You never know. You always prepare for change. And I have the minerals and the know-how to adapt to any changes in my environment. And that's the whole point of J-Juice, is knowing how to adapt to the changes. So when your country is going through an adaptation process, an upset of homeostasis, you adapt, but you don't cater to it. Or I mean, you cater to it, but you don't like make it worse. Don't be a Benedict Arnold against your country. Don't be a Benedict Arnold against your body. And those two are synonymous. So that's why yesterday I was going through and doing this whole social experiment, because I'm pointing out the Benedict Arnolds to our country, which is no different than the Benedict Arnolds to our body, which is basically everything in the holistic allopathic world that serves to mess and manipulate your hormones at every level. And so I had to make that connection. So anyways, y'all have a good day. Do the jelly juice. Do the jelly juice and deal with the pain. Get the nutrition in you. Annotate your experiences. It's not going to be surefire 100% right off the bat in the next month or two. It's going to take a while. I'm on my 4th year, going on my 4th year. It'll be 4 years on J-Juice come October. Okay? So this is for Michael Savage. Here's my smile. Okay? So yeah, it's going to take a while, but don't give up. It's on and off. Believe me, you're going to, it's going to ebb and flow. You're going to have fluctuation, just like the stock market. But if you have enough resources in your body, you'll absorb the fluctuations. You'll get on, you'll get off it, you'll get on, you'll get off it. You'll have indicators to get back on it and stay on it and not get off it until you actually heal. And you're going to have to deal with death in your family. Some people are too far gone, unless they really truly have the intention to understand they have to go through pain in order to heal. And if they don't, then don't even introduce this to them. If they don't have that capacity to understand that you have to go through pain to heal, then don't even bother introducing this to them. And just come to terms with the fact there are people in your family that are going to die. And you give them the opportunity, but you kind of don't have any expectation. Okay? All right. You guys have a good day. Thanks for listening. Bye.